These latest developments, we're joined now by Sultan Barakat, Professor of Public Policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University. Sultan, thank you again for being with us. So we are waiting now this news conference at the White House between Netanyahu and Trump. The Americans sounding very upbeat about a possible ceasefire. Do you think Netanyahu will agree to it this time?
Well, I will wait and see, but I think he's running out of options. And the route he's chosen to follow is leading him nowhere and is increasingly embarrassing and isolating even the United States. And as we said earlier, he has really, at the personal level, upset Trump quite a few times now. And particularly after his bombing of Doha, he has now managed to unite the world against him and against his policy of assassination, etc. So
on that, let me just pick up on that, on the attack, the Israeli attack on Doha. We've heard several reports in the last hour or so of Netanyahu reportedly calling the Qatari Prime Minister to apologize for that Israeli attack, that Israeli strike on Doha. If this is confirmed, the Qataris have yet to confirm it, just how significant is this? And what do you think could have led him to this apology?
It's very important because Qatar from the beginning said we won't be able to continue our mediation without a clear apology. And in fact, they demanded a public apology and and also confirmation from Netanyahu that he won't attempt to do it again. And this is important not just for their mediation between Gaza and between Hamas and Israel, but for the whole portfolio of mediation in general. You can't protect the space for mediation when parties to the conflict start to want to settle their accounts directly. So it's
Sultan, just to update our viewers again, because this is a very important line that's dropped in just the last few minutes. A diplomatic source has told Al Jazeera that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has indeed apologized to the Emir of Qatar for the killing of a Qatari citizen during Israel's attack on Hamas leaders here in Doha earlier this month. This was reported by several sources, but we are now getting confirmation from a diplomatic source here in Doha that this phone call from Netanyahu to the Qatari Prime Minister apologizing to the Emir for the attack has indeed happened. Quite significant, isn't it?
It is, but it depends also on the wording of this, what he has admitted to.
Right.
One thing is the killing of a Qatari citizen. Something else is the attack on Qatar's sovereignty.
Okay.
And it's very important that he undertakes not to attempt to do it again, because otherwise you can't really continue with the mediation process. So there's still a lot to be said, and we'll probably need to wait to see what the Qataris say about it.
But the important thing here is that the Qataris wanted apparently a public apology.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get that?
Well, it's become public already, and
but
maybe in
the
news conference he will probably refer to it in an indirect way, because he now understands he needs Qatar in order to pass on the proposal to Hamas and to get them to consider it seriously. And also in terms of guarantees, particularly knowing that only Qatar really enjoys that link to Hamas that no other party enjoys. So they're in a good position now, the Qataris, to impose their will in terms of apology. I mean, ideally, he should also pay reparation, and they should pursue him legally, because what he has done is not something that should be allowed to pass as if it's normal in the region.
Right. But for now, again, what we're hearing the apology is the fact that a Qatari citizen was killed during that attack on Doha, not necessarily the overall attack itself, because we did hear Netanyahu say that they will go after Hamas wherever they are. And if they were to apologize for striking at the heart of Doha, violating Qatar's sovereignty, that would be quite significant, which they haven't done so from what we hear.
Yes, well, I think they should do. I think that's the real apology. That's the real issue that's going to protect the sovereignty of Qatar. It's not about one citizen lost. It's about the sovereignty of the state of Qatar. It's about them breaking the protocol of mediation.
Right.
And it's about him showing good faith in engaging in a diplomatic process.
Right. Will this be enough, do you think, to convince the Qataris to return as mediators?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it depends on what's going on behind the scenes. And obviously, the Qataris is also under pressure because they don't want to see the killing continue day on day. I mean, since the attack on Doha until today, hundreds of Palestinians have been killed. So any effort they can make to stop the bloodshed would, would be valued, I think, both by the Palestinians and regionally. But at the same time, they needed to draw a line to protect the sovereignty. And this is where the type of the apology, the way he apologizes, is going to be important. My personal recommendation is not to move with the file until that apology is clear and it is about the sovereignty, not just about
the
killing accidentally the way he presented it.
Right. Well, let's see what the details of that apology are as more information comes through. Let's return now to this ceasefire proposal that the Americans are very optimistic about, the 21-point plan that Trump has put forward. What do you make of it, and what do you think is missing from this plan?
Well, there's nothing really incredibly new in it, except for the idea of introduction of an international force for the protection of the Palestinians. But a lot of details needs to be worked out around this force. You know, what kind of force is it going to be? Will they be able really to protect them against Israeli attacks in the future? Can they disarm Hamas? And this is going to be the sticky points. Hamas so far has accepted not to play any role in the future role in the governance of Israel. And in fact, they said right from early on that that's not their ambition. They don't want to be running Gaza per se, but they won't give up their arms unless there is a clear political horizon for an independent Palestine and an end of occupation. And this is where I think the key message is this plan, will it carry a clear political horizon for the Palestinians? It doesn't have to be immediate.
Right.
It could be
But as
3
we
or 4
know,
years.
members of Netanyahu's coalition have said that's a red line for them, the path towards a Palestinian state. So how is he going to address that? Will he compromise on that? What, if you, as you say, this deal is no different from what we've heard in the past, what would make Netanyahu sign on to it this time?
Well, I think it's the pressure. I think Netanyahu is now pushing against a dead end. He's reached, he's used all his leverages, he's used all his skills, all his tricks. He managed to mobilize whoever he could mobilize over the last 2 years, and he's running out of options. It is now down to the United States and Trump deciding whether he's willing to supply Israel with more weapons and money to continue with this war or not. And I think the increasing pressure, particularly over the last week, from the global community, the Europeans in particular, Britain, France, Spain, and others, has led the United States to slightly revisit their position. The real risk always is in Netanyahu spending time in Washington, because he's very fluent with the American politics, and he knows who to speak to and where to go. I think he will be trying to work out those die-hard supporters of his against the idea of the plan as much as possible. But it's not. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. We'll continue the conversation in a moment. I just wanted to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest we're hearing and breaking news in the last few minutes.